We are on.
All right. School volunteers need community service. High school kids need community service. When my kids were in the drama club, they all needed community service. This would be a great opportunity. Another great opportunity would be high school kids who are considering pursuing elementary education, that they could be the readers, or high school students who are considering pursuing library science or library media. That could be another opportunity. But this particular event required 2 police officers, and I'm also wondering, why would we sponsor an event that requires a police presence for something other than police control, traffic control? So it just seems to me that another possibility could be partnering with the high school students and giving them the opportunity. Let's leverage the opportunities for our high school students. Let's make it a more inclusive event. No one would need to be denied access to parts of the library. And so I offer that as an option. It doesn't cost money, or you could, certainly, they are also looking, the drama club is also looking for, I know when my kids were in it, they had to go canning. They are also looking to raise money as well. So it just seems like, let's be inclusive, let's stay local, let's partner with the high school drama club, with high school students who are interested in pursuing library science or elementary education, and not need to exclude anyone, and not need to hire police at a significant cost to the community. I understand that this event is sponsored by the Friends of Reading Public Library, and it does cost $250. So I just throw that out, and I'd be interested to hear, do you ever respond, or do you, I'd be very interested. Is anything I've said unreasonable?
Thank you. Do you have anything else?
I just, Oh, public comment is you provide and other people can provide comments, but it doesn't automatically start a discussion.
Okay, and that's what I just asked.
Okay.
Okay, so no comment. Okay. I just would ask you to consider if anything I said was unreasonable, and I would hope that maybe you would consider partnering and reaching out to the high school and giving our students the opportunities to earn money and for the club, as well as earn community service hours, because National Honor Society also needs community service hours as well as drama club. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any additional public comment?
I'm checking online.
Thank you,
If
Amy.
you're online and you would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing any. Last call for public comment. Nope, no hands raised.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we will move to agenda item number 3, Ad Hoc Library Landscape Committee. We have a presentation, discussion of scope and expectations, and trustee vacancy.
I do. Bear with me.
Folks,
Hi.
how are you? I'm not sure if you're going to be putting up the presentation.
I am. Here we go. Have to get to it. There. Oh. And let me just share my screen. Thank you for your patience. All right. There we go.
All right. My name is Gennady Pirovsky, Gena Pirovsky. I live in 3 Harmon Avenue, and I'm part of the Library Landscaping Committee. I'm just giving a presentation on their behalf. So thank you for having us, and thank you for volunteering for these positions. The town appreciates you and your work. You could proceed to the next slide, please. So the library committee is made up of residents. Some work here. Some of the folks share a fence with the library. Some of the folks contribute to other committees, boards, and clubs throughout the town. And so if you proceed to the next slide, some of the objectives that
That's it. Go. There we go. Sorry.
yeah, let's,
Am I off one more?
this is the good one.
Okay. Sorry.
One more click. There we go. All right. Effectively, this committee has been formed to complete the library's original mission, which is to create a better environment outside to foster learning and civic engagement. The way we're going to go about doing this is by meeting with all of the different stakeholders, residents, or the library trustees, those that work in the library, as well as with the public. And public engagement can be done either through general comments or through survey for broader reach. We would like to conceptualize an outdoor environment that improves and allows for better activities, improves aesthetics, fosters learning. And so our goal is to raise funding to complete this effort that was originally within the scope of the library, but had to be cut due to budgetary constraints. And also our goals are to work with landscaping architectural firms in order to develop this vision and put it forward. Next slide, please. So the current state of the library is great, but could use some improvement. There's always improvement that can be made. So for example, right now, we don't actually have, as far as I know, a dedicated stage or a power source outside. So for example, when the library held an Edgar and Allan Poe event, they were using extension cords in order to provide power to the event. There's limiting seating for the groups outdoors. So we have 3 blocks of granite and picnic table, which is nice, but I think there could be an improvement made there. And in addition to that, when we hold events outside, they're typically held on the lawn, which we'll get to see here in an image. Folks bring their own chairs and blankets, which could be improved upon with dedicated seating. The slope is also pretty steep, and so that could limit some accessibility. Next slide, please.
Yes, I'm going to interrupt. You have a quorum here, so I think you're supposed to call the,
I apologize.
I forgot to do that too.
So since we have a quorum, I'd like to call the Library Landscaping Committee.
To order. There we go. Now you're good.
All right, apologies for that.
No.
So overall, we're supporting the library's core mission. So dedicated space for learning and engagement. The educational events that can be held outside of the space can pertain to nature, plant, and gardening. So I think you already have, Library of Seeds. I believe that's what the program's referred to as. And other programs, story time has already been mentioned, so that could easily be held outside and allow more people to attend. So that'd be awesome. And then other programs for all different age groups. Additionally, small dedicated space for smaller groups would be great. So besides the picnic table and 3 blocks of granite, it would be great to have small kind of nooks and crannies where individuals can get together and study, have discussions, or participate in whichever clubs they want to. And overall improve the accessibility of the outdoor space. Next slide, please. So the funding source and activities. Our goal is to undertake this project without placing additional tax burden on the residents. If we, the way we would go about doing this is exploring additional funding external to the town, such as nonprofits, grants, potentially selling plaques, or dedicated donations, which allow you to showcase your name. If we already had the money, this would be a pretty easy project. So the trickiest part is going to be raising the appropriate capital to push this forward. And then in addition to that, we'll most likely need funding for long-term maintenance of the outside grounds. So this could be achieved through adopt an island type of program, landscape maintenance by some local companies that could potentially state, this area has been maintained by company name. We would also like to use native plants that are very sustainable and require low maintenance. There's still probably going to be a need to maintain this environment. And so this could be established through an endowment where a little bit of money can be used each year in order to maintain it and keep it in tip-top shape. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
So our next steps. So first of all, we're going to introduce the Library Landscaping Committee to you folks, which we just did. So that's a check mark for us. We can go home feeling over. We would like to compile funding opportunities, so gather all of the different places where we can obtain money. Solicit free presentations from nearby landscaping architectural firms, so they could come in, give us a presentation on some of the work they've done in the past, potentially use some of landscaping firms that have already done work in the town, that have an established track record and successful execution of those projects. We would like to allocate funding to perform a full study, which will, of course, involve a community survey and engagement to understand the better needs of the residents. And lastly, we would like to then evaluate those results, understand what is possible, what is likely outside of scope, and make appropriate recommendations, make the right recommendations so that the project can proceed forward. All right, and I believe that is it for my presentation, for our presentation. So thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions you folks have, and I'll do my best, to answer.
One question, obviously not, with the big question being the source of funds and what to get, that's going to dictate obviously a lot. But for a sense of like a community study or engagement survey, do you have a sense as to where those fall for this kind of project? Just because I know those can run pretty expensive, because I know at times we've used grants in part for community studies.
Yeah, that's a great question. So with previous efforts, particularly when we're looking at the Birch Meadow project that was done very recently, right? They outsourced their survey to a company that kind of got folded into the fee. And that worked out great because they have a really good understanding on how to engage with the company. The company has really great understanding of how to engage with the community, how to formulate appropriate surveys. The question is, this is going to be a non-answer, I'm sorry. The question is, how much are we able to raise to put forth for such a study? Can it include a survey? No work is going to proceed without community input. So whichever one comes first, either it's small amount, but this is not going to be on the size of the Birch Meadow complex, right? So the question is roughly what is it going to cost, and will that include the survey, or do we need to formulate our own survey as a committee and distribute it to the public? I don't think we've made a concrete decision on that just yet. Amy?
I just wanted to add that the company that did the Birch Meadow study, which they did, they had all the multi-parts and they came up with all the scopes and they met with recreation. That initial, I believe, I think it was called a feasibility study, was done for $25,000. But again, that was a very large project. So that I don't know what the order of magnitude would be on that, but that might give you some sense of the project. And if you need further information about the Birch Meadow process, like this would be a very much smaller version of it. But the feasibility, they took pictures, they did a survey, they had focus groups, and then they met and came up with recommendations, which the group then were like, well, we like this should be phase 1, phase 2. And there were some back of the envelope numbers, I know. But again, that's a much bigger project. But it's an existing and very recent model.
My personal hope is if we can get architectural firms to come in and give us their sales pitch, they'll potentially provide a rough estimate on how much different things would cost, and whether or not they'll include a survey.
Yes, just a suggestion possibly. I'm on the Council on Aging and on the Simons Way Advisory Committee, and we recently did a survey and to gauge the community's thoughts about how to use Simons Way. And we did it through the town. And so they developed the survey and we had opportunities to adjust it. And so we worked with sit down. So that's another possibility. Just if you just want to gauge the community's sense, and that's at no cost.
I was going to say
That's
this.
direct cost, but yes, thank you.
Right, exactly.
I was going to say the same thing. The town has done multiple surveys in the past. There's some people over there who have pretty good experience.
Perfect. This is a really good lead. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions?
I would just, first of all, thank you to the committee members. I'm not a voting member on the committee. I just attend when I can to keep track. So we have in the audience here, Elaine Stone and Desiree Zico and Mike Susi, who are on the committee. And online, we have Walter Talbot. Andrea Hogan is unable to join us this evening. I think that, part B of this agenda was to have discussion of scope and expectations. I'm sorry, Cherry. And that also speaks to letter C, which is this board said that there would be room for up to 2 trustees. So there is still a space for a trustee. I know at one point Mana had expressed interest. It doesn't have to be decided this evening. But my recollection from our May meeting of this committee was to come back to this board and say, here's all the great things that pictures and things that they have worked so hard on. What direction do you want this committee to take? You know, who are the stakeholders? Are the stakeholders the whole community? Is it the library? How much is it tied to the library mission? How far out do we go to, you know, Council on Aging or, you know, Pleasant Street Center? Like who do we define as the stakeholders? And my sense was that the committee wanted input from you as the board who established the committee to maybe give a little direction. And if anyone disagrees with that, please speak up.
Absolutely. I mean, we're always, we always welcome feedback, especially from you folks, since you are more familiar with the inner workings, at least more familiar than I am with the inner workings of the library. So any feedback you have, we would be delighted to hear. It doesn't have to be at this moment.
Sure. I'm wondering in terms of scope, and it's very embarrassing because I can't even picture what's beyond that wall. Because I know at times, I remember there being like orchestra bands playing up front. I know I've been to events here since the library was renovated. Up front was pre-renovation, as I recall. But would the scope be really focusing on this side behind you, or a little bit more of the property in front? I mean, I guess you just have that little circle, semicircle where the driving is. Not much space anymore. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's a lot less space now. Okay. Yeah, this is really what we have. Okay. Well, I mean, in terms of stakeholders, I mean, I think, you know, the town as a whole, obviously, but I would also be like library patrons. We know how popular the library is overall and drawing in other people. And then with the town, with an eye towards what I think are two of the biggest active users, you know, at the different ends of the age group, you know, what are going to be available for outdoor and children's activities, as well as what could be available and learning for the senior community, because I know we're increasingly trying to engage with that. But I think it's really, I don't have an eye for this kind of stuff. So, you know, it's like trying to get that vision. But I also think then you've got the town, you've got, you know, the business community and local nonprofits to fund. I know we're really fortunate to have a very generous business community here, but it falls on the small business owners. Those are the most generous, and they're the ones out there with the drama club and with the bands and the boosters. They're kind of, you know, I feel like they do have a lot of asks, but that could give opportunities when you have the sponsorship area. But I think that's really going to dictate what the goal would be in terms of the budget and the raise, because I mean, whatever the raise is going to dictate what can be done, obviously. But the other thing I think is important is the ongoing maintenance, which you've included as to how to do that, right? Because it's one thing if it's just going to be watering, but we know that won't be the case.
I want to thank you all definitely for coming this evening. It's really nice to see that the committee is rolling. You know, as we think about when we first start talking about something and it's just on the paper, and then to actually see the work that you all are doing, I just want to say thank you and recognize that. I would suggest one of the things to think about as the project continues is ADA, just from the standpoint of disabilities and just making sure that whatever we do is accessible and that it does not prevent any individuals from being able to enjoy or to participate. You know, with your stakeholders, and I think you mentioned this, Patrick, I think that I was hearing this, but, you know, definitely including or giving our children some way to give some insight and some thought to the spaces as well. Any additional? Yes.
You know how we work together. Back in the Communications Advisory Committee.
Yes.
We had the children involvement. Wouldn't that be an awesome opportunity for the kids design the space? Have it be a contest. We had a contest with Human Relations Advisory Committee back in the day. And get them to envision how that space could be used.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We won't judge them for their structural integrity.
But I love it, yeah, getting,
Any additional comments? I know that as Amy mentioned, the trustee vacancy does not need to be determined today, but absolutely, we want to make sure that that's something we keep on our agenda. Any closing thoughts?
No, not really. Besides that, thank you for taking the time to meet with us. We'll be seeing you again. We'll keep you updated on the
Absolutely.
progress that we make as a committee. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Besides that, do I need to put a motion to adjourn the library landscaping committee? All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you much. Absolutely.
Okay.
The next portion of our meeting is that of election of officers. And we are coming upon that time of year where some of us will be up for re-election next year. And this is a time where we look to begin to rotate or vote for new officers. And so we will be looking at the office of chair, which is the position I hold. And Andrew is also up for reelection as well. So we would also be looking at our position of secretary as well. With that said, we want to have an opportunity to embark on our election of officers.
I nominate Monique to be chairman again.
It's really been a great opportunity and a great experience. I've actually enjoyed it. I've learned a lot and a lot about behind the scenes. So it's been really awesome. Who knew that I'd be doing some of the things that I did, or experiencing some of the things that I have. It has been a great experience, and I appreciate it, and appreciate the vote of confidence that you all gave me last year. All right. I would like to throw out a nomination for the chair position for that of Mr. Patrick Egan.
Does that mean you're not interested in being chair again?
I'm not interested in being
Okay.
chair, as I'm up for reelection, so.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for asking.
Well, I thought if you said that, it made it clear that,
Yes,
just wanted to know.
let's make it clear. Thank you, Cherry.
Welcome.
Cherry's always on, thank you, always on the job. Yes, excellent. Okay. All right. Any other?
So you're making a motion.
I am making a motion.
Motion to not.
But I want it, yeah.
Second.
Oh, second, excellent. All right. Well, that's easy. There's been a motion to second. All in favor? All right, excellent.
Stan?
All right. Great. It's amazing how fast that happens. Last year, I wondered like, what was up? Because it was done so quickly. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right. So now we will move forward to make a motion for our secretary role.
Want to keep it, Andrew?
Sure.
Nominate Andrew Grimes as our secretary.
One second.
Tough job.
Okay, he said tough job.
Okay.
All right, great. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, excellent. Great. All right, congratulations.
Are those the only two positions or is there vice?
No,
As the vice chair, you,
Monette is the vice chair.
So do we need to vote for re-up for a year for that?
I guess as a protocol, it would probably,
I nominate
I know.
that.
Let's do that.
Vice Chair?
Excellent, second. Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, well, thank you all very much for that. And congratulations. Thank you very much.
Sitting in the row.
We will next move on to our FY '24 meeting schedule and our holiday schedule as well. So we have both of those sheets within our packet here. So first, again, is the meeting dates for fiscal year 2024. So I'll give folks an opportunity to take a look at these. As it says here, our meeting will continue to be at 7 PM on the second Monday with alternative dates that are listed here to accommodate holidays and town meeting. Do we have a motion to accept the meeting dates for the fiscal year of 2024?
I move we accept the meeting dates for FY 2024.
I second.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have our 2024 library closing dates for the year '24. So taking a look at the holiday schedule,
Can I ask a question about this one?
please.
Trying to refresh my recollection, not talking Thanksgiving now, talking December 24th. Obviously that day floats, so in 2024, it's a Tuesday, listing close at 1. Is that the traditional procedure for the day before Christmas?
yes, we close at 1 o'clock the day before both the Christmas and New Year's holidays and before Thanksgiving, unless it were to fall on unless those eve days fall on a Thursday, in which case I think we generally, because we don't open until 1. So we would just be,
Okay.
that's traditionally the pattern. I will say that on the eves before, like if you were ever open, nobody is open after 5. Every library I know closes. If they normally have evening hours, they close by 5 o'clock, so.
I move we accept the library closing dates as presented for 2024.
Second.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the DEI, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Community Audit Liaison.
I'll speak to this if that's okay.
Please.
So the DEI audit in July, Sudeshna is scheduled to present, and she'll be talking about this audit, which you all agreed to co-fund with the grant that, along with what the grant that Fidel had received. I think in one of the previous meetings, I reported that we had gone through and we had selected a vendor called Opportunity Consulting. There will be an internal steering committee or steering group, I guess, which is made up mostly of I believe, of all town employees. But we also anticipate needing to have a bigger group that would include a liaison, and very specifically, we'll have someone from the select board and would like to have someone from the trustees be the person that would come to any of these meetings or updates or be a consultant kind of liaison to make sure that all the correct information is getting to you all as funders and being involved. So we're just looking for someone, again, if you don't, we're kicking it off in July. You could put off the decision until July if you wanted to kind of think about it. I don't think it's a real heavy lift in terms of meetings. It would really just be, if you're interested. Did any of you, I don't think, we had a similar group when we were doing like our strategic planning, like all the trustees were involved, but yeah, I think it might've been Monette was just like there all the time. And she was the person that I spoke with and that we could figure out what the next steps were without getting the whole board involved. So this would be sort of a similar, maybe taking some emails, taking some phone calls, kind of keeping up to date with some things. And the DEI audit is going to include both qualitative information gathered through things like focus groups and meetings and things like that, as well as quantitative through a survey. So it's not an audit, I'm sorry, it's an assessment. It's a community assessment, not an audit.
Amy, what is the timeline for the assessment?
The assessment will run from probably July through about January. It will be completed before the election season.
You mentioned a liaison from the select board and other town employees, I think I heard.
So the steering committee, like the really core group, will be made up of town employees. Like that's sort of the boots on the ground, the people doing the hard work and meeting with a little more frequently with the group. And it probably will consist of town employees. And then there'll be a larger group that is more sort of, say, oversight and information and kind of a broader, sort of more external stakeholder. And there will likely even be a third outer ring of that, of the people that are networking. Like if we want to get into who are we going to call if we want to get to the sports groups? Who are the people we're going to, who's the head of the micro soccer, that kind of thing. So there might be a larger networking group that we just kind of track of when we want to get out there and get people to complete surveys or sign up for focus groups or something like that. But
Would there also be someone like a liaison with the school committee? I'm just trying to think like the big.
I have to check on. I think this was not, adding the school in would have been a whole nother level. This is really about the community. So I think, I'm not saying that someone from the school committee won't be involved or someone from the schools won't be involved, but I think the primary focus is the community at large, outside of the schools.
Would you mention again what the liaison would be responsible for?
Yeah, it really would be I think there would be an outside component of maybe speaking with Sudeshna or with me or whoever is at the steering committee to answer questions or keep you in the loop. And then possibly attend not like weekly meetings, but maybe there would be a monthly kind of a larger group meeting that you would come represent and speak for the trustees or report back to the trustees on that. So.
All right. Anyone who has interest? I am thinking about it, so if nobody else is clamoring for it. All right, I will, I will, I was going to say, do I nominate myself? Okay, all right, please.
I would nominate Monique to hold that position, please.
Second.
All in favor? All right, excellent.
I do.
I just hop from one thing to the next. Yeah, why not? All right, excellent. Thank you. So our next agenda item, next two agenda items will be Amy's. We have the financial update and the director's report.
May I lean on Michelle a little bit? I don't know if you noticed, but Michelle was the one who submitted this director's report and I was on vacation at the time. But
yes,
I'll just start off quickly with the financial report. We've just completed the 11th or 12th year. We are supposed to be about 92%. We are in general running under budget, so we will likely return some money. I spoke with Jamie Penny, the head of collection services, and we are on target to meet our mandated, materials expenditure requirements. So I don't anticipate having any problem meeting those targets. Staffing is, we still have one vacant position. So we're still running under. We're still working on filling that position up. And our expenses have, I'm not quite sure why our expenses are actually more at 85%, other than the fact that I think there were some things that we expected to come to this year that will actually get implemented in FY24. We have costs for things like maintaining the app. We'll have costs for maintaining the lockers. We purchased the lockers, so I think some of that is built into the budgets, but we won't necessarily get to spending that in this current fiscal year, but it's all set up for festivals for 24. We continue to have some good donations coming in. They trickle in from here and there. We had a couple larger donations. There was like a $300 donation last month. Something about. I think so, yeah. I forgot to include that in the financial report. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the financials. There wasn't really anything outstanding. The warrant is before you, and if there's any questions, obviously you could let us know.
On the warrant, the Mango,
Yep.
which is that a yearly bill for the online? Okay, yearly.
Yep.
And remind me on the state aid, that doesn't have a percentage, so that's not based off of the fiscal year, it's kind of.
We get it, and the state aid is something that is given directly to the library, and we can use it pretty much for everything. It's usually, I have it earmarked for larger projects such as strategic planning, consulting, or website redevelopment, that kind of thing, and as well as we use it for our marketing and PR stuff, printing our brochures, anytime we need signage, that kind of thing. So it's also, equipment outside our normal operating costs. But believe it or not, carts are expensive, and when you need one, you need one. So it's almost like it's our free cash. I think of it as that way, like try to maintain a certain amount of it.
And then just, I know the answer to this, but I think just for informative, so everyone knows, the microfiche payment, the 5,100, that came out of the line item for the foundation, correct?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. And we are actually allowed, not for the initial conversion, but for those going forward, we are allowed to count that money as materials, because we are purchasing basically the content, or having the content provided for public use. So the initial conversion, because it included things like the site hosting and all that other stuff, was just an expense, but we will be able to apply any monies to future digitization as materials expenditures, which is nice. And it goes back to 1853 now.
Yep. Pretty great stuff in that 1850 as I was playing around. Yeah, but I think I just want to make clear that payment getting us back to the 1850s was the foundation.
That was the rest, yes. We wanted to make sure that
Now the modern era is on the library.
all on us, yeah. Yeah, because that included actually 21 and 22 as well, but went back yeah, so. We will have moving on to the director's report and things that we want to kind of add to the director's report, and you should speak up to Michelle, because I was gone for almost 2 weeks. We were having a power outage this Thursday.
Yes, and staff doesn't know yet.
The level 3 chargers are, our MLD will be shutting down our power for, I think he said
4 hours.
4 hours from 8 to 12. They're hoping 8 to 12 in the morning, I think, on Thursday. We will likely not have staff come in to work that day, just because there's not much you can do without air conditioning or lights or computers or anything else. So, so hopefully it'll be back on. It will not affect anybody else in town or on our street. Is strictly to adjust, I believe it's a transformer or something to accommodate the level 3 charger that should be coming in soon. I know I've been saying soon for a long time, but it will come in. They were doing a lot of prep work a couple weeks ago. Other facilities things, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we missed that's happened in the last week.
No.
No, we're good. Yeah. And thank you again to Michelle. She got us our snapshot of data. You can see there's a lot of community events coming along. We were just at Friends and Family Day.
We had a lot of people visit us at Friends and Family Day, including Kathy and his family. We've got a great picture of them that you'll see on social media soon. We had, I counted it, a lot of young families. It skews younger. Whenever we go out for these types of fairs, we want to talk about something, we want to highlight something. So we were highlighting the summer brochure and summer events. And we also highlighted the Juneteenth event coming up and our Library of Things, because people don't always know about that. So I brought several smaller items from the Library of Things collection, as well as the binder that explains what we have for people to borrow. We're very excited about that. We received almost overwhelmingly positive feedback from people. People were very excited to see us there. I created a couple of library cards. We had 150 people visit us at the booth. And it's always just great to get out there because you're seeing people who don't always come to the library. It's fun.
I just want to also point out there were 106 new library cards last month. So we still continue in that strong trend. Michelle put in a photo of what we are expecting the new tween spot, which is the space directly across from the Castle Room, to look like. This was the larger project that we expect, obviously probably won't be built or finished in this fiscal year, but that will move forward into FY24. There will also be a mural, which is not shown here, but the mural will take that tree motif and it will be painted all in and around. So it's going to be quite lovely. And also,
Sorry, I have a question. On the image,
Yes.
the area on the left, is that where that little alcove is now?
yes, there's some bookshelves there.
Yeah.
I can't,
Shelves that are there now.
yeah, a lot of that stuff will be either removed or repurposed somewhere else. The collection will actually go for them, will be in those half shelves outside. And it'll be something, it's not a floating collection, but there's a term for it where it's kind of a rotating collection. It's not expected, none of these books will probably be on those, in that area or on those shelves for longer than, maybe a year, depending on what it is. It's going to be a little more fluid in responding to what's popular and interest of the time. One of the things I also wanted to mention is that normally at this meeting, I would have had Ali here to present for the summer programming. I just wasn't sure how long the landscape committee. So I did tell her that she can have two options. One is for her to distribute, she always does those great PowerPoint presentations about what's coming up. She could just submit that and I can send it all to you out in between before the next meeting, or she can come to the next meeting and give you a brief rundown while Sudeshna also gives her rundown. I know you always really enjoy hearing from her. She adds a lot of color and picture and depth into the program initiatives that they have. So having said that, I do see, I think it was Pat had the brochure out. Yeah, so we have this lovely brochure. We don't do a ton with the print. How many do we print?
Summertime I do. So
summertime we print, yeah.
I print 700 because the librarians visit, the youth librarians visit the schools. And then we just have a lot more people coming, looking for our events for the summer. So that's why I print it.
So we do.
Suggestion on this brochure.
I have the time wrong and I missed that.
Yeah, I mentioned to someone that we have the Sunday hours
Yeah.
listed and we're not open Sundays in any of these months.
Yeah.
So we should probably either have the asterisk there all the time indicating
Well, that's a good idea.
everything, but, because someone's going to come on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Because they see this and then they're going to be upset because the library isn't open actually.
Yep.
So, but anyway,
we-
I know it was an oversight, but
We also have it available electronically as a PDF to download with live links to registrations and things. I guess this is just also a nice time so I know the Public Services Department is responsible for all of those programs and setting it up, but Michelle does a tremendous amount of work in getting these brochures out there, and she works with Desiree and other people on the communications team to really strategically work on getting the information out there, multiple different formats, how to highlight, what to highlight. It's a constantly moving target, and I just really appreciate the work. We didn't really go to school to become graphic designers or anything like that, and using Adobe Illustrator was not usually in any curriculum on our advanced degrees, so it's always fun to learn about kernels and things like that.
Great.
So
I just want to say thank you. It looks great.
it looks very nice. So she does a really great
A
job.
lot of great programs.
Yes.
Thank you about that. Also, I did just want to say real quick that thank you for your assistance and your cooperation in working with the public records requests that we had come in May. Everything is in the hands of the town clerk. I'm waiting to hear if we need anything else. I don't think we do. But we did record just under 30 hours of work needed to complete the staff time to complete the larger request. So that's just an FYI. We still have a vacancy for one position, and we have some graduation of our high school pages, which we're really excited about. Just one correction, I actually did this incorrectly in May. I said Ashley Waring had her anniversary, and it was 16 years, and her anniversary is actually in June, and Ashley will have been here 17 years.
Yeah, I left it because I saw that.
So and then I always put it down to a sabbatical that Ashley took from us for a year, and she checked out some other things. Just the list of some of the professional development, and I guess, kind of going back to those two large programs we have coming up. This Friday is the Pride Parade.
Saturday.
The Saturday, is the Pride Parade. That basically is at 3 o'clock, I think, and it runs through town. And this has been a cooperative effort with some different town employees, some volunteers. There's over 31 sponsors. I think there'll be 17 cars. And then a bunch of events going on the Common. And then the following week, we're really excited. It's a tough day. June 24th is also Porch Fest, which goes on, but it gives people plenty of time to visit multiple events and multiple venues. But the Juneteenth celebration, you're a little more familiar with what's going on, yeah?
Yes, so it's from 1 to 7 p.m. There will be drummers, there'll be a dance group coming. There's going to be a pop-up market with a bunch of different people selling things. There'll be a few different food trucks, 2 different beer vendors,
A DJ
a DJ.
and some students singing. I think David Mosier from the high school is going to be doing some.
It's going to be really fun.
Going to be really super fun.
I'm going to be working here, and I'm sad because.
But when you get out at 5 o'clock, you could come.
I could.
You could come over and have a beer.
I could. It's going to be really fun. You should all go.
Yeah.
No pressure.
But yeah, that is, and that again is another collaborative effort. We had some folks work with the Reading Education Foundation to help fund one of the speakers. Sudeshna got a grant from the Mass Cultural Council. We're working with Ben Karish from the town economic development, and Andrew McNichol, who's the head of the town planner. And it's just been a really, really fun experience to really try and do a larger community event. And I think it's going to be exciting.
Excellent.
And that If anyone has any sort of burning questions.
Ask a couple of questions?
Yeah.
Quickly? I have 4, I think. On the Pride Parade, I know we've talked about this before, listed as the sponsorship, but what the role of that sponsorship is, it was my understanding it's assisting with the translator.
Yes.
Can you just explain a little bit more?
Yep.
What the
So we're-
sponsorship part is?
Yes, and we don't, I mean, I wouldn't say that, I mean, I guess we're just a listed sponsor. As I said, there's 31 other
Right.
sponsors that are working with this. We are providing, we'll have ASL translators both at Pride and the Juneteenth event for the speakers. And then that's the only financial piece that we are adding to it. The town is covering other costs. And then we are also, I worked the DRT, it's personnel time, so I'll be there all day. And then I worked the DRT, I ran the DRT process with the town, which is the departmental review where you meet with the fire department, got all the permits and that kind of thing. So it's some staff time, basically, less on the financial.
The RFID pads.
Yes.
Is that like I can go from personal experience that they are wonky and getting wonkier. Is that a typical lifespan? Because I'm like 7 years, but you got to figure a year and a half of that doesn't count because of COVID. Or is that just the wear and tear, like that typical?
The ones that were sorry, I will answer this.
Yes.
The ones that we're replacing are the ones that are at the self-check stations, and those get a lot of work. They're constantly being in use. I don't know. I assume it's because they've been used a lot, and that's why we're replacing them.
Just curious what the lifespan of things.
68% of our checkouts are through self-check.
It struck me as a long life period of 7 years, even with
Yeah.
COVID thing, but I was just curious. Easy question, the summer survey, how's that coming along? You getting any?
So we've got probably about 15, 16. It's not as much as the spring one, but that was to be expected because we launched it right when everyone's graduating and there's a lot going on. So we plan to, we just did a press release, so you'll see that out in the newspapers. And then we're going to periodically send it out in the newsletter and then also via social media and to get people to respond. We're going to keep it open into August.
Is that the one about,
Programs. So it's all about programs.
so you can also put a QR code on any of our program things? Right. Oh, you came to a program, what else would you like to see?
Yes, we could do that.
could do that.
We could bring, we have a flyer with QR codes.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's a good idea. Thanks, Amy.
And then my last was, there was a discussion of the outreach at Pleasant Street and with Cary Valley and other services. I was wondering any kind of more update on that, because it also reminded me of when we had the meeting a few months ago. And at that point, there was a question on what was going to be going on with the senior center. And then everyone got excited because a good location came up, and then obviously that didn't happen. Is there more plans for more senior?
Collaborative, yeah.
Just those issues.
It's three 8-week series here at the library.
And they're going to be doing it this summer. They start again June 21st.
Maybe there's 6 weeks, but yeah. There's 6 or 8 weeks, and they do these programs, yeah. Where they bring in people. And so they're using this space actively.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just, we're just trying to juggle that around, getting them squeezed in along with or a little after. We've done all our planning, but before the public gets in, so we're trying to work with them on that. And we're just really excited to have our new elder services librarian starting, and she's ready to kick off
Wonderful.
book groups and get programming going, but also the deposit collections that we put over there. We generally bring books over there. They usually get checked out, and yeah, so she's doing great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay.
If we have no additional questions or,
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay.
That came later. Don't mean to talk about it because I talked to Lorraine.
Which one? Oh, that one. I thought you were talking about the pictures.
paintings. You talk about that and I'll grab the box.
Okay. Yes, you do have to talk about that.
One quick question.
Yeah.
On the snapshot, helpful for me if we had, instead of just like saying what 27,000 circulations, but not
Yep.
like a little chart over time, because I always forget. Like,
Absolutely. I thought about that too. It's sort of like, it's out of context, like, how much is that over? Add some sort of chart. Yeah, I think originally, many years ago, the statistics we gave out were always against the previous year. And then we had the weird COVID thing, so I didn't know which year to convert it to. But, so I think there's something, I like the idea of trying to maybe doing a trend or a trend for a year or anything else. So I'll look at that and see what we can do. Michelle's going to have something in a minute, but I did just want to refer to the two paintings over here. We just received, and we have this new deed of gift form, particularly for things like artwork, but Ms. Deborah Johnson has donated 2 Natalie Nordstrand paintings. As you know, we have a lot of Natalie's paintings. We have basically a very nice collection, and it continues to grow. Number 1 is Snow and Ice in Boston Public Gardens, and the other one is of the Sudbury Mill. Deborah is giving this to the library. She is the executor of Georgette Simard's estate, and Georgette was a very beloved patron and volunteer who passed away. And so she is donating these pictures to our collection, and just a big thank you to her. They're lovely, and it really does add to our
They are
collections.
very nice.
Then Michelle.
Oh, sorry. So the Lions Club would like to have a donation box here for eyeglasses. The thought was maybe putting it in the health nook. Lorraine Berry is a Lions member, and she said they were hoping to have it here as a preliminary location. She was hoping for 6 months. I don't know if that's too long or what you think about it. And I don't know how, like, I'll assume that we would just contact them to have them come pick it up and ask for information here. We just need to have the approval for any kind of donation. Donations that do not go to the library have to be approved by you, trustees,
And I'll give
right?
you a little background on that content in the policy. Is that, it's okay. All right. I'm sorry, I'm tired. There is a history to that because probably 18 years ago, many years ago, in the old building, there was this little, I don't know if it was like a little shelf or like a handrail or something. And first it was the eyeglasses, and then the Boy Scouts were collecting for ink for the such and such. And then somebody was collecting rubber bands or cap tops or food stand, I don't know. So we ended up having all of these things, and we were trying to be really nice and have, and support all the community groups. So that's why, and as you know, we request for Toys for Tots, that makes a request every year. But it is so that you make, thoughtful, mindful choices. We probably wouldn't bring it to you unless we knew that there was a space for it. And we are very protective of our own desk and display space. So we just want to make sure that it's not too cluttery, but we also want to make sure that we're supporting our community groups when they have, very specific purposes. I will also add that the Lions are very supportive of the library and really help us with some of our large print and low vision projects.
Thank you, Amy.
I would recommend that we allow the Lions Club to have the donation box here.
Second.
Excellent. All in favor?
Yep. Thank you very much.
And I don't think it matters how long it's here.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
I mean, I don't think it does, but that doesn't mean somebody else might think.
I think the Health Nook is actually quite a nice,
But I think, 6 months is fine, or
we'll see how.
if they could do it annually for 6 months. I mean, seems like a good idea to me. There's nothing any worse than not being able to see.
Yes.
I mean, struggled with difficulties with double vision for over a couple of years, and finally getting it corrected properly. I understand the difficulties of not being able to see the way you're supposed to.
Yeah. Will the Lions Club advertising?
I think so. I think this, they have boxes in several places, and they'll say, here's where you can pick it up.
Thank you. All right, then. We will next move to approval of minutes from the May 8, 2023 meeting. Any thoughts or comments regarding the minutes?
Great job, Megan.
Yes,
I-
always a great job.
I believe that this may be the best minutes yet. Details.
You can do the secretary.
I had no comments. I move to accept the minutes of the May meeting.
I second. All right, great.
In favor? Sorry,
No, that's all right.
getting ahead of myself.
You're taking care of business. You're going to be just fine. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Future agenda items.
Yes, so we have been, studying all the protocols and procedures. And it seems, one of the things, I believe the select board does this as well, which is to kind of just raise things at one meeting and then to prepare and let the public know that you might be talking about these things at the next meeting, whether it's policy or things that will be going on. Things that, it's rather than new business, it's future agenda items. So I think the concept is that they don't recommend having new business because you shouldn't really be talking about new business if it's that new. You should have some time to prepare. So future agenda items, considerations for revisions to the collection development policy. The staff has worked to review the current policy. There's nothing really egregious about it, but we definitely went through the exercise of working through a request for reconsideration. And they saw some room for improvement and have some recommendations. To that end, if you, any member of the Board of Trustees independently has a thought or question about the process or the collection development, you can feel free to contact me between now and the July meeting. We can add it in, as a comment, or you can just know that you want to talk about it. So be thinking about the collection development policy. We will bring some small, I think most of them are very minor, updates to that policy for discussion and review at that meeting. And best practices is not to vote on those changes at that time, but to have a full discussion, make any further edits, and then have a vote at the subsequent meeting, which would be in August. And the other thing is to discuss the possibility of having our Friends of the Reading Public Library liaison. That is, it's just helpful to have someone there. We have an in with the foundation with Pat is on the foundation. So, we have a liaison already to the foundation. It's just, as you know, they do so much to support us. And I think we do try to attend those meetings as staff members, but it might be nice just to have a trustee who, if they don't attend every meeting, can attend some of the meetings just to sort of give them some support or be there to answer questions. And I think that was all I had. I guess the last thing would be, what did I do with my other sheet? On tap for July would be the summer programming update from Ally, as well as the OESJ report from Sudeshna. We would also probably have the FY24 warrant schedule as we give you every year so that you can get a general idea of when we'll be asking you to come in for signatures. We should be able to have that by the July 10th meeting. We'll also, I should have a presentation for you on the gift and state aid and trustee spending for FY24. It is always some placeholders, of things that we expect to spend monies on, but sometimes it gets changed throughout the year. And if time allows, then perhaps to give a goals update of what the director / the whole library expects to get done in FY24, may draw from the action plan or from things that I've discussed with the most recent annual review process with all of the staff, including myself. So that's what we have on top for July. And then obviously you would, if you would like to add anything to that agenda, you may send it to the chair to add to the agenda, the new chair, Pat, and CC me as well if that's just helpful.
Excellent.
On the collection policy, would that also include the requests for reconsideration?
Yes, it's the whole thing. It's the whole thing.
The only thing I would add that I've done some looking at, both pre and post, and I wanted to spend a little more time digging in before we ever consider it again, but we know we got public comment and we got questions about the public nature of it, as well as the individual's kind of pro and con. And, the question of if other libraries provide any other procedure different from ours, particularly as to anonymity. Again, from what I've seen, I did not see anything like that, and I'm not aware of any time you can seek redress from the government and do it anonymously. And I think even if we were to try to maintain something, it would probably be open to public record.
Yes, absolutely.
But I'd just be curious again, a little bit. I mean, I looked at, as I recall, Woburn and just neighboring communities. But I would just be kind of curious broader on that. I did attend something last week 2 weeks ago with Maura Didi and had a lot of the procedures, and none of them had anything referenced to anonymity or at all. But again, I just kind of be curious just because that was a talking point.
Yep. Thank you.
Great. If nothing else, does anyone move to adjourn?
To adjourn?
All right. Any second? All right, wonderful. All in favor? Excellent. So we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.